rainfalls, but low effective of management is equal bad situations. However, if we have like an average rainfall levels, but ineffective management, it turns out bad as well. So the management is very crucial and very important. Next slide, please. So this is a disaster management approach, emphasis on capacity building. I would like to focus on capacity building because it's very important. Which are preventions? Prevention is focused on infrastructures, humans, plants. We have to answer this kind of questions. How did they respond and who did it? And where can I get the resources? So this is a prevention stage. And the next is the mitigations. Mitigation is reduce harmful effects of risk and adverse impact. Pre and post-disaster. We have to think about the pre-disaster. Don't wait until the disaster is occurs. Plan before it occurs. So it's pre and post-disaster. And for the preparation stage, we have like a 5 stage. We have to look at the orientations, discuss about the risk. Assessment is to identify risks and areas that affected. Prioritizations and analyze. You have to have the work plans, boost its ability to respond. And actions, last one is actions and accountability. So the risk is happen on the red areas is the floodings. So when the flooding is occur, we have to respond immediately. So it might be prompt response when the disaster is strike. And for assessments, is immediate relief to the diminished sufferings and most create health to face its unique local circumstance. It's very important because if you help or assist the local communities, you have to know their cultures, you have to know their way of life. So the assistance is not one size fits all, so you have to know the locals. And reconstructions and rehabilitations. So this is the disaster management. Next slide, please. Thailand established the National Disaster Preventions and Mitigations Committee in 2007 for designing policy to implement the National Disaster Preventions and Mitigation Plans. When the disaster strikes, the mechanism implementations follow this plan. So this plan is very important to cope with the problems. Next slide, please. So the flooding in Thailand in 2011 result in 728 people died in the situations, and its destructions of is 20,000 square meters of agricultural land and almost 10,000 industry land. It led to 660,000 lost their job. People lost their job. People lost their land, lost their job. Overall damage and loss is 46.5 billion US dollars. So it shows that the management is ineffective and it affects people's life very much. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the Bangkok flooding in Bangkok during that time. Next slide, please. Okay. This is a Pakret model. Is near Bangkok. This is a best practice. On the other hand, the Bangkok COVID flooding is very bad. It's very ineffective. But Phuket is near Bangkok, but they cope is very well, very effectively, better than Bangkok. Firstly, they have effective plans. They call for the usage of any nearby canals to serve as a floodway. Second, they have a sandbag barrier along the Chao Phraya River's shorelines. Chao Phraya River is the name of the river. And third one, they have notified Phuket residents in flood area to move in the higher ground. If temporary barriers are unable to prevent waters from the river banks, then the local authorities step in to assist local residents. So this is why the people safe because of these mechanisms. And next slide, please. And this is the analysis, the concept of disaster management framework that I already told you. And you will see in this case, laws and regulations, the disaster prevention and mitigations plan in 2007. We have this plan, so we have authorities and we have resources. Next slide, please. And for mitigation, we have to measure, store, and divert waters to keep the areas and people safe. Next slide, please. For preparedness, we have the work plan, prepare for infrastructure, people. So this is the preparedness stage. Next slide, please. So response, we have to know, we have to identify who is the stakeholders. Who is the stakeholder, resources, and plan have to prepare. Next slide, please. So the assessment immediate relief by flood relief operation center. We have center for operating floodings especially. Next slide, please. It's reconstructions and rehabilitations. We assist those who are affected. And second, we support and speed up recovering at all sectors, agricultural sectors, SME, industry. And third is effective communications. So this is very important, effective communications, because during that time, people don't know what to do. People get stressed, get their worries, and get depressed. So it's very much important about the effective communications. So people will understand the situations and have effective coping with flood situations. Next slide, please. The best practice is another best practice is Thap Nam and Ban Ma sub-district, Ayutthaya province. Ayutthaya province is near Bangkok. Next slide, please. Ayutthaya is near Bangkok. The area is floodplain that faced with the droughts and floods 2 or 3 times, 1 to 3 times every year. Next slide, please. Thap Nam Water Resources Management Model established in 2005 consists of, by the local governments, the approach consists of 5 phases. The first phase is they start by dredging the canals to increase draining effectively. Second is they request people to help build a temporary piers to keep the portions of the area above the waters, and then they transform to permanent piers. And the excess water will drain into Chao Phraya rivers. So this is their strategy. The third one is they have the water pump at the end of the sub-district to improve the effectively of the water management. And the fourth one is local residents and local governments collaborate to manage the waters. Very important in the people participations. And the fifth one is water zoning was applied to manage water resources. Next slide, please. So its critical success factor is man, is humans, is human is a capital, human capitals, and money, materials, infrastructures, and good management is very important. Next slide, please. So, okay. So the preventions, you will see we have plans, we have communities has a visions, missions, and go to tackle the floods. Next slide, please. And for mitigation, the draggings and recoveries, they have a temporaries and permanent weirs. They have water pumping, they have a people's canal increase, and they have a water zone is a plan. It's a very good strategy. And next slide, please. So the preparedness, they use the data and technologies for forecasting and assessment the impact. Next slide, please. For response, they firstly inform the stakeholders and try to help our stakeholders. And second is the flood management, like access water flows in the water zoning plan, because they have a zoning, the water zoning. Next slide, please. For assessments and immediate relief, there has economic mechanisms. There are 2 zones. Like I said, the affected and unaffected zone. It means flood zone and no flood zone. So the owner of no flood zone will provide assistance to the flood zone. It's helping each other in the community. You get trouble, I help. I don't have any trouble with flooding, I help you. I have problems, I get help. So it's helping each other. Next slide, please. To reconstructions and rehabilitations, firstly, they enhance people participations in water management. They advocate the new cultivations which use less water is good for water management. And lastly, they have to compensate those affected. Next slide, please. So human resource are one of the needs for capacity buildings, and natural disaster management plan is very important. Effective communications, because people they are worried, they are depressed, so communication is very important. And good management is also important for coping with the flood problems. Next slide, please. Okay, this is my references, and next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would invite Dr. Altaf Abro, Head of Mission Pakistan, SI